And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Kpush podcast, episode 157. Well, here we are today in April. The question of the day is, how the hell do I start this episode? That's the question I aim to answer at some point throughout this episode. We'll figure out how to actually start this thing. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've been here, and I'm not gonna lie. We'll get into it a little bit. I still can't really talk about what the real situations are of my life. Just know that it's a shit show. Just know that my life currently, right now, is a shit show, and probably a year from now we'll start to really get in on all what was going on at this moment. But right now, currently, I cannot discuss some of the things that are going on, which is okay, which is fine, I guess, but also it really isn't okay. On another degree, on another whole nother level, it really isn't okay that I can't really talk about what's going on in my life, because I've been thinking about this podcast a lot over the past 4 or 5 months or whatever the fuck, and I'm not sure if it's something I want to do. I'm just not completely positive and sold on this idea that I want to continue to do this. So it's been hard to do. It's been hard to commit, but I feel an obligation to it. And I know that it helps my stand-up, and it helps develop material. And I know all of these things, yet I wonder if there's other things that I could be doing that might be considered more productive, that will help me throughout my life and take me places faster than whatever the fuck this is. Because I know that, like, this is a podcast, but in reality what this podcast is a white suburban kid who has a lot of mental issues trying to figure them out, and sort of I don't really know what to, like, expressing, I guess. I don't know. But I do feel better when I do this podcast. I do feel my anxiety goes down. And by the way, don't be that guy like, oh, what'd you do? Did you do a TikTok? Did you do a TikTok test of, are you mentally ill through No, I'm not. I've been to a mental place because I was suicidal in freshman year of high school. Do not come at me. I've seen 7 different therapists. They don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. They don't know what to do, and my parents are probably a little disappointed that they didn't get something better. They didn't get a better child. They're a little like, hey, this one's okay, but he wants to be a comedian. What is that? What is with that? What is with that? Where did we go wrong? And so, this podcast it's a little shit show. And again, I've said this from the very beginning. I am waiting on the day, on the minute, on the moment, where somebody barges into this podcast room, wherever I'm recording, at any point in time, and just goes, hey, what are you doing? You're alone in a room, and you're talking to yourself? And you think this is healthy? I don't think so. You're going to come with us, and then I'll be locked away, and you'll never see me again. You'll never see Kpush Carr again. And I'm waiting on that day. And do you know, have you ever watched, like, a murder documentary? You've ever watched, like, one of these? And the murderers, they always talk about how when the police catch them, when they finally get caught for what they've done, there's a relief. There's like a, finally, I can get this off my chest. I think I will finally get that moment of relief and release when I'm locked in a mental hospital. You know what I mean? Just like completely, I don't have any control over my actions. I'm medicated up. You know what I mean? I'm just there alone, and it is probably not run real well. I'll probably get some form of abuse while I'm in there, but whatever. The release when people finally come and they finally go, hey, you're done. You're done. I'll be like, finally. Finally, you understand. You understand that I probably shouldn't be roaming the streets of America where I can just drive halfway across the country. They let me drive halfway across the country. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? I could have had bombs in my car. I could have driven them anywhere. Thank God I was driving my joke notebook. You know, we're full of dick jokes. You know what I mean? Where I can bomb. That was terrible. That was terrible. You need to go to the joke store. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, it's, this thing. Where was I going with that? Where was I? This always happens, by the way. I start somewhere. I have a plan of where I'm going, and then along that way, I get completely lost. My friend, one of my good friends, not best friend, but good friend. Good. We'll call him good friend. He was talking to me about the podcast, which he's never really made anything in his life, so I'm not, I'll take his word, but, not really. So, but he always says, hey, Chris, the thing is with your solo episodes, right? You seem like you're kind of playing a character. You're playing like a character, and it's not really you. It's not really you. I wish you were like you when you're with me. But you're not. You're not like you when you're with me when you're on your podcast. It's a different you. And the reality is, this is the only moment ever in my entire life where I feel like I'm being myself. Truly. This is the only moment where no one's interrupting me. No one's fucking there. I can say faggot. I can say retard. Can't say the N-word, won't say the N-word, but aside from, that word, I'll say cunt, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The reality is, this is it. This is me. And when I'm with people, I don't act like this because I know if I act like this, they'll be like, who's this fucking weirdo? Who's this weirdo who just wants to talk for 45 minutes? Can we get him away? Can we get the faggot who wants to talk for 45 minutes away? We don't care that you don't like college. We don't care that you don't like New England. Go away. Yeah, and I know that. So I change. I don't act like this in real life. That's the other side of the thing. There might be people who only have listened to that. No, that's not true. But there may be someone out there someday, one day, who knows, in a land far, far away. Somebody might listen to the solo episodes, right? Not now. Nobody has. But maybe someday, one day, somebody will just listen to the solo episodes and go, is this guy like this all the time? Is this guy just all the time? Is he amped up all the time? And the answer is yes. This is what's going on inside my brain 110% of the time. The only thing I kind of cut out is the hating myself. That's about it. That, other than that, I kind of, cut that out for the solo episode podcast. But other than that, this is just a stream of consciousness. And the reason why I take out the I hate myself, which is that's 30% of my thoughts, is what are you doing? What are you, fucking retarded? What are you doing right now? Right? That's sort of a good percentage of my thoughts. If I did that in the podcast, this wouldn't be listenable to. You wouldn't be able to listen to it. It would be literally I'm gay, I'm retarded, I can't read, I'm fucking dyslexic, you're not funny, you should give up and kill yourself, you should have kept dealing drugs because that was the only thing you were ever really good at. That's like 30% of my thoughts. Nobody wants to hear a white suburban kid talk about how he wants to kill himself on a podcast. Nobody wants that. I know everybody talks about mental health and blah, 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 blah. Don't you want to like talk about mental health? Don't you want to make sure you're okay? Don't you want to make sure like mental health is a very important subject and you should talk about it. If you feel depressed, you should talk about it. And then when you talk about it, the problem is, right, here's the real problem, is the people who say those things, who want to talk about their mental health, quote unquote, are actually pretty mentally healthy. They're pretty mentally there. They are. They're okay. They might feel sad, they might feel down, whatever. But they're not like mentally ill. The problem is when you tell a mentally ill person that they have to worry about their mental health all the time, that they have to be happy all the time, that they need to figure out the problems in their brain. The issue is, with mentally ill people, there are some issues you're not going to solve. There are some problems with mentally ill people that you're not going to solve. And I understand that I'm not mentally ill to like the level of like schizophrenia, where I think the CIA is coming after me, or the Jews are taking over the planet. I understand that I'm not Kanye West, okay? I'm not Kanye. I understand that I'm not Ye, okay? There's a reason why I haven't made Graduation, okay? If I was Kanye West, I wouldn't be here for two reasons. Number one, I'd make fantastic music. And number two, I'd go on a rant about Hitler and about how much I love Hitler, and then they would come and take me away. I think, but they haven't taken Kanye away, so I don't know. Maybe I could talk about how much I love Hitler. Even though I don't. I don't love Hitler. I promise. Swear to God. Cross my heart. Maybe. But the reality is, right, is when you tell somebody that they want to talk about it, right, you should talk about your mental health. You should talk about your problems. People with mental illness can't fix it, so they'll talk about it all the fucking time. And I did do this. I did this between the ages of 13 and 14 when I was going to therapy like once or twice a week. And the reality is one day, if you go to therapy once or twice a week because you have accepted this idea that you need to talk about every single fucking problem and emotion you have, you will sit in therapy one day and realize you have discussed everything. Realize you have talked to your therapist about every single little detail, little child trauma. And yes, I know I haven't been raped before. I wasn't molested that I know of. Maybe I was and I was so traumatized by it that I don't remember it. Sure, maybe. But the reality is, when you go to therapy for that much, you will get to a point, you will get to a certain time period, a certain appointment, whatever, where you go, I've actually discussed everything. And I don't feel better. I don't look better physically. I don't feel better mentally. And I've wasted a lot of time sitting in a room, spending God knows what amount of money. I didn't spend the money. My parents did. But spending God knows what amount of money. Let's pretend it's my money. So I can seem more angry. You know what I mean? Because my anger is most of the time is unjustified. Like 90% of the time, the things I'm angry about, I should have no real reason to be angry about. But let's pretend that the money my parents spent for therapy was my money. So I spent my hard-earned money on therapy, right? Over and over again. And nothing changed. Because that's the reality of mental illness. It doesn't go away. There are pills and medications that you can take that might help. Yes. But the problem is with the ones that SSRIs is what they call them, the antidepressants, They don't let your dick work. They make your dick smaller and not able to get hard. And if you ask me, that's the biggest problem of them all. If you can't get your dick hard, trust me, your depression is not going to go away. Truly, if you cannot get your penis erect, and maybe you can take Blue Chew, maybe you can take Blue Chew or Viagra or whatever, an aphrodisiac. Maybe if you eat an oyster, your dick gets fucking jacked. Who am I to say? I'm not you. And I was 16 when I was on an SSRI, which is crazy to think about during a pandemic, which is, by the way, these LED lights. Sorry to jump topic. Where was I with that topic, the SSRI? That wasn't really going anywhere. The SSRIs don't work. You understand this. But they were putting me on an SSRI during the pandemic. What? Like, of course you're supposed to be depressed during the pandemic. Everyone was depressed during the pandemic. And this psychologist, I don't even remember her name. I think her name was something like Rita. Oh. And she did it over the phone. She would go, "Oh, are you feeling down? Are you feeling down?" And this was like 60 days into the pandemic. Haven't gone outside. Haven't seen anybody. Haven't like really done any physical activity. No sauna. No nothing. "Oh, are you feeling down? Oh, you're feeling down? What is the 20 milligrams of SSRI isn't working? Why don't we boost it up to 200? Let's boost it up to 200. By the way, I was smoking weed and drinking every day at 16. So, whatever, though. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine. But the pandemic, speaking of the pandemic, right? And I know that we're moving quite fast here because we're covering a lot of ground. We covered that mental illness and the whole, theory of talking about it doesn't really work. And we also discredited SSRIs because your dick doesn't work. We're going to move on to the pandemic. What was with the LED lights with the pandemic? Because this is what it is now. This is our studio for the time being is my bedroom. This is it. This is what we got. All right? And we're going to work with it. And these LED lights are left over from the pandemic. Why? Why did every teenager have these shitty LED lights? And a lot of people left them on while they slept, including myself. And I would talk to other people about how we would leave the LED lights on while we slept. That can't be good. Like 50% of teenagers I know would get LED lights. And this is in Massachusetts. So, this place is a little wacky. But like 50% of the people who lived up here during the pandemic, who were like around my age, 16, 17, whatever, were like constantly smoking weed, constantly listening to Mac Miller, and then had these LED lights on through the pandemic. That was like 50% of people I know who went through the pandemic, and that's how they kind of cruised through it. And the really mentally ill ones listened to Little Peep right next to Mac Miller. And those people should be shot in the face. But that's neither here nor there. So, yes, that is why I haven't been uploading. I don't know where any of my points go on this. This is, again, just a stream of consciousness. Which I don't know how I'm playing a character if this is just every thought I've ever had in my entire life. This is all the solo episodes. Another big problem with this podcast, right, is it became a job. Like I said, this started out during the pandemic, and there wasn't really much else to do, and it was fun to get drunk on a podcast when you were 16, 17 years old and talk shit with your boys. Talk shit with your boys. And now it feels like I have an obligation to try. But I don't know why. I don't know why I have an obligation to try, because the reality is I'm getting no money. I'm getting no money from this. And I haven't got a dime from it. And so I'm not sure why I feel so obligated to it. If this was sort of a manic decision, you have to remember, this is like, I started this out coming off of 200 milligrams of an SSRI while I was drinking and smoking weed every day. And my buddy Charlie and my good old pal Dominic were like, we should start a podcast. And me being drunk every day was like, that sounds like a fantastic idea. That sounds like a fantastic idea. By the way, Charlie and Dominic don't do a podcast anymore. They haven't been on the podcast for quite some time. So maybe they were right when they looked at me and they said, why don't you go do it by yourself? Because I was going to take it way too seriously. I knew that. They knew that. Everybody knew that this was going to be taken way too seriously by me. Because I can't have fun with anything. I don't know what it is. I can't have fun. I can't just sit and be like, this is an activity for fun. No, my brain doesn't work like that, especially when I do it a lot. When I do something once or twice, I can do it for fun. But once it gets past the 50th time and I still suck at it, it makes me want to kill myself. It does. It really, truly does. So, again, that's why I haven't been uploading and recording. We can move on from this. We've been talking about this for 22 minutes. How has 22 minutes gone by? Did I really rant for 22 minutes? Are we halfway through this episode? Again, take me away. Put me in a mental hospital. Lock away the key. Please. But a real thing, right? I'm going to take a dramatic sip of my drink. Give me one sec. I'll be right back. The real thing is about taking a break with the podcast, right? Is if you take 4 months off of a podcast, you may have missed 100 years worth of news. Truly. Like, I feel like if you took a year off, and I know podcasts went around in 1970, all right? But let's just, whatever. 1970s, you take a year off from doing a radio show. I bet you could cover every important, significant detail that happened in the news within 45 minutes of one episode per year in 1970s. What do you got? Watergate? The Vietnam War? That's basically it. It feels like there's a Watergate that happens every day. Every day there's like a big thing. And not literally, so don't be like, well, you don't even know. You weren't even alive during Watergate. So what do you even... Yes, I wasn't alive during Watergate. Yes, I should shut the fuck up. Yes, I'm 20. Whatever. You get the point, though. You get the fucking point, okay? Is that too many things happen too quickly now. Too many things happen too quickly. Even from when I was like a kid, even when I was like 10 years old, people didn't talk about politics the way they do now. And you go, well, you just weren't paying attention. No. I spent every day on the internet as a child. I had parental? What? Unsupervised. Dude, I swear to God, my brain makes up words as I'm talking. I'd unsupervised access to the internet from around the ages of 8 till forever, till right now. I don't have any supervision. I never have, never will. And so, just the amount of things that are posted on social media about politics. I remember the distinct difference. I remember before Trump and after Trump. I remember the time, 2016, things got weird. Things got weird. And was it the fact that I was 13 and wanted to kill myself? Maybe. Maybe. Or maybe Trump came along and everyone lost their fucking minds. And there's something that happens every fucking day because everyone got connected way more to the internet. So now everybody's on all the time and everybody's posting everything. Which again, where was I going with this? I have no fucking idea where I was even going with this. Yes, of course. You can't take off 4 months of a podcast because it's too crazy. That's where I was going with this. So ever since like 2016, news has just gone way too quickly. And podcasts, you take like 2 weeks off and you go, there's like 17 different things. And so I'm just going to ignore. Truly, that's I don't know if that's a right move. I'm having fun. Enough. This is an obligation. I'm not a news reporter. I'm 20 years old, barely graduated high school, wants to become a comedian, and not going to college. Okay? I'm not covering every fucking news story. Go get it from Joe Rogan, the reliable source of information. Please. Get it from the main bald man. Which he had somebody on who thinks the moon landing was fake. And we'll get into that. We will get into the moon landing being fake because Joe Rogan is mainstream news. And so now that's mainstream news. Anyway, besides the news landing being fake, we're going to dive into some of the topics that have gone over the past 2 weeks. So if I miss something, fuck off. And also, this podcast is not going to be uploaded for a good amount of time. I need to get some podcasts under my belt before I just start uploading again. Okay? So do me a favor and fuck off. Because if Palestine is gone, okay? If Palestine is gone, but if another Sandy Hook happens, okay? If Joe Biden comes out as gay and Jewish, okay? If I'm missing these things, which by the way, all seem in the realm of possibility. I could not upload this for 3 weeks, and 3 weeks later, Joe Biden could be a gay Jew, a Sandy Hook could have happened, and also Palestine might be gone. In 3 weeks' time, because that's sort of the world we live in nowadays. So, believe me when I say, hey, this was recorded. When was this recorded? This was recorded April 27th. Okay? So if I miss something, cut me some slack. I'm a little behind here. I'm trying to catch up. I'm going through a lot of stuff right now. So suck my dick and get off of it. Please. Thank you. For our first topic today, we're going to dive in. We're going to do it. We're doing it here. Okay? I'm still trying to figure out how to start the podcast. If you haven't noticed, the question of the day is still, how do I start this? Okay? But anyways, we're going to keep trying to figure that out. But in the meantime of trying to figure out how to start the podcast, we're going to cover some news topics, okay? I have a pen. A pad. A pen. I have a pen. Why did I say pen? Why did I say that? I have a pad here. I have a pad here with notes on it, and I'm very professional. I'm a professional podcaster, damn it. Okay? Harvey Weinstein, he got released. Let's all praise Allah. All right? Let's all get down on our hands and knees and praise Allah because they were finally released. The good man. The man, the myth, the legend. Okay? My boy, my homeboy, Harvey Weinstein. He's out of jail. And look, I understand this whole thing with, women accusing him and whatever. I think, though, the real threat was and still is Louis C.K. I mean, what did Harvey Weinstein really do? Rape a couple bitches? I mean, whatever. A couple actresses? Like, who? Actresses? Who cares? What Louis C.K. did, though, was totally uncalled for. Totally uncalled for. Okay? Even though that Louis C.K., Harvey Weinstein, and Bill Cosby all got sort of the same amount of press during that time period of Me Too. And, Bill Cosby might have raped some bitches. Harvey Weinstein might have, whatever. Bill Cosby might have raped some bitches. But what Louis C.K. did, right, which was consensually jack off in front of other female comedians. That's my big problem here, is that female comedians, okay? Female comedians need somebody like me to come out and defend them. They need that, okay? Don't ask the question, why would you know what they need? Shut up. Don't ask that. I don't like that question. I'm not going to respond. The reality is, everybody wants to talk about how gross it is that Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby got released from jail. But Louis C.K. has never even seen the inside of a cage. Truly, Louis C.K. has never even seen the inside of a cage. And that's a real problem. Okay? That's a real problem. The reality is, I want you to take Louis C.K. to the cell Harvey Weinstein was staying at and say, look at this. This is where you belong. Truly, that's what I want. No, I'm kidding, obviously. Harvey Weinstein got released. I have a video of it right here. Obviously, if you couldn't tell, I was joking about Louis C.K. thing, and if you thought I was being serious, go kill yourself because you're retarded. But we have a video here, and we're all going to get educated by NBC News. So let's see what the geniuses at NBC News have to say.
100 accusers of Harvey Weinstein.
All right. We'll restart.
For the more than 100 accusers of Harvey Weinstein, the New York Appeals Court decision to overturn his conviction hit hard.
My first reaction was a total visceral one. Our hands were shaking so much.
After Ashley Judd, who publicly accused Weinstein of sexually harassing her, speaking out.
This today is an act of institutional betrayal.
Weinstein was charged with crimes in New York involving 3 women.
I mean, shaking. Your hands were shaking. Lady, have you looked online? Have you not seen the Palestinian children get blown up? What about October 7th when they flew in there and they raped innocent civilians? Did that make your hands shake? Who's getting their hands shaking at news nowadays? Who is watching news and is like, oh my God, what's going on here? They're getting like the alcoholic shakes? I don't fucking think so, bitch. What are you talking about? Everything that happens on the news is like way worse than Harvey Weinstein getting released. Okay, the Ukraine, George Floyd, coronavirus, everything else. But, like, Joe Rogan saying the moon landing is fake. And this is what makes your hands shake? Like Lucy K's hands were shaking? If I didn't stutter there, that would have been a good punchline, but I did, so it got fucked up. Whatever. Let's continue with this video. I just don't like how they always exaggerate. Every problem. It can't just be like, hey, this rapist got released. I'm upset about it. But what did you not go to Starbucks that day? Maybe it was the Starbucks you drank, you white woman. Maybe it was the amount of caffeine you had in your espresso that made your hands. It's just enough. It's enough. Everything's the biggest news story in the world nowadays. This isn't it. This isn't the biggest news story. This isn't even the biggest rape story. Bill Cosby, whatever you want to say. Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. What I know about Harvey Weinstein, I know that he didn't do good things. I know that. But did he drug 58 women and then rape them? And I know that he did inappropriate things, and I know that there was, like, things going on where you had to fuck him if you wanted to be in his movies. But did he have Bill Cosby's numbers? I don't think so. I don't think he did. If we have to compare the two, which I don't want to, but you're saying your hands are shaking, so calm down. And if your hands are shaking over this, I don't know how you wake up in the morning.
Accused Weinstein of sexually harassing her, speaking out.
This today is an act of institutional betrayal.
Weinstein was charged with crimes in New York involving 3 women and convicted in 2020 of
He's in
racially
a
harassing
walker.
her, speaking
He's
out.
in a
This
walker,
today is
dude.
an act of
Yeah,
institutional
I mean,
betrayal.
it's so funny
Weinstein
seeing a
was charged
rapist
with
in a
crimes in New
walker.
York
Like, he
involving
can't
3
even
women
walk, but he
and
rapes.
convicted in
That's
2020
hilarious.
of rape and sexual assault. But that trial also included testimony from 3 other women who made allegations that never led to charges. In the 4-3 decision,
blurred out
a
the
majority
painting?
of the Court of Appeals concluding the trial court made egregious errors, erroneously admitting that testimony, calling it unnecessary. Dawn Dunning was one of the 3 other women. She says she doesn't regret
Okay.
testifying. I am a stronger person for having done so.
Are
I
you?
urge the district attorney to retry this case.
And on your left.
Weinstein was once at the top of Hollywood, but in 2017, the New York Times uncovered decades of allegations involving sexual misconduct. When he was arrested back in 2018, Savannah sat down with Oscar-winning actress and Weinstein accuser Mira Sorvino.
How does that feel after everything you've been through?
It's him finally facing real criminal consequences for his criminal behavior. And so for that, I feel gratified.
It was the start of the Me Too movement. Some now
Right.
worried the overturning of his New York conviction is a major setback.
I definitely worry that that sets a precedent, but we will keep fighting.
Weinstein's attorneys applauded the decision.
You can't throw out 100 years of legal precedent because someone is unpopular.
All right, Kate, so what's next in this case?
Well, so the Manhattan District Attorney has said that they will do everything in their power to retry this case. He remains right now in a prison in upstate New York. He's going to be moved, Weinstein, somewhere closer to New York City so that he can have access to his attorneys. And don't forget that he also has a case going on in California. He was convicted of rape there, and he's sentenced to 16 years in California. His attorney in L.A. says the New York decision is going to have significant impact on his appeal in California.
Which is interesting. I think more as a practical matter, they're making some of the same types of arguments in California, although in that case, California law, different court, different judges.
Right, right. But his attorney in L.A. definitely thinks that what happened in New York is going to have a bearing on what happens in California, because they may argue that it was the same kind of situation where other people were brought in to talk about prior situations, and that might not hold.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Kate.
All right.
Would you mind taking a picture?
Shut up. We don't need that. All right. So you heard them. Yeah. Look, Tim Dillon talked about this on his podcast, right? So I don't want to and I agree a lot with Tim Dillon, and most of the time I have similar opinions to Tim Dillon before I even watch his episodes on certain things. And it may be because I constantly am listening to him and also just kind of think alike like him. So I don't want to take exactly what he said word for word, but yeah, you just you can't. And he talked about the judges too, which judges don't like hoes. He said, which was a very excellent point. The judges don't like hoes. That is a very crucial point of this. But he did get to sort of which is what I would say is that the Me Too movement went way too far, especially with Louis C.K. I know I was joking about that beforehand, but in all reality, the Louis C.K. stuff and the amount of press that Louis C.K. got, and I remember seeing similar press, or the amount of press that Louis C.K. got for masturbating consensually in front of women and not actually touching them, got the exact same press as fucking Bill Cosby, who legitimately raped people. Like, legitimately fucking raped multiple women. And Harvey Weinstein seems so as well. So, this is the overreaction. It always is. This bounces back. We go from right to left all the fucking time. Even in my lifetime, we went from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden. This is exactly what fucking happens every single time. There's a fucking overreaction, which I don't think that it was an overcorrection to lock up Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby. But they did try to go after Louis C.K. And when you do stuff like that, when you mix Louis C.K. in with those two people, which they did, they 100% did. Don't give me this bullshit of like, no, they didn't. No one did that. You're lying. That's not true. They did do that. They lumped them in together in a very similar fashion. And so when you do that, there's got to be some sort of correction. And I think that this is it. This is what's going to sort of try to fix what's going on. And this is a mistake, don't get me wrong, but they're going to die. They're going to die. This is the reality, right? Like Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein, they went to jail. If they go back to jail or not, they're not going to spend that much time there. They aren't. They're going to die. And Tim Dillon said that if he gets out, he's going to make movies because LA has no soul. I can't say I'm not in LA. I've never been in LA. Probably, though. I mean, from what I've seen from Hollywood, it seems like a, pretty no morals business from what I've heard from multiple different people. But I just can't see people letting this go. I can't see that. I think it's going to be like the O.J. Simpson thing, where it's always kind of there, but, like, people are like, well, what are you going to do about it? But, like, if you take a photo with Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, people are like, you took a photo with a rapist, sort of like they did with O.J. Simpson. And I just think that they're going to die, like O.J. Like O.J. died, where they take it to his grave, and they'll always deny. Always deny. They'll never admit it. If you're looking for, an admission of guilt from Bill Cosby or Harvey, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And if they were smart, they would take the money they made. They would go to another fucking country that doesn't have, extradition? Whatever. You know the thing where they don't have to fucking transport them back to the United States if they're convicted of something. And they're going to live out the rest of their lives, probably raping women. And what are you going to do? This is what you do when shit got too crazy. When shit gets too crazy, there's always an overreaction, which they did. They did go too crazy. And maybe they didn't go too crazy on Harvey or Bill. But they sort of, I mean, the whole thing with the Me Too movement at the end of it, right, not at the start. I think at the start, there were people there who wanted the Me Too movement to get people rid of, like, Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby. But then they included people like Louis C.K. And that got weird because it turned into, like, if you have a fetish that you like, you're a rapist. And that, it's like you can't do that. You can't say that. But that sort of was the message at the end of it. If you've ever had a hookup with a woman, you're a rapist. And look, the other problem is I think that affected real life more than a lot of people thought that it would. There's a lot of different women from my generation, especially in high school. This was a thing in high school, at my high school, where women would say that they got raped without saying that they got raped. They would do that. They would use every other word except rape. And it happened to like 3 of my friends. And it happened with me as well. Where they were like, well, you know, we were there. And he didn't ask to lick my pussy. But like, I just took off my pants and my underwear. And I pushed his head down to my pussy, and I told him to stick his tongue out, but like I didn't really feel comfortable, and it was really weird because I came on his face, and then he didn't talk to me afterwards, so I just feel really uncomfortable, and I feel like he forced it on me. And you go, so what do you mean forced it on you? You mean like he raped you? Well, no, I wouldn't say that. You know, it just made me feel very uncomfortable and it felt like it was forced upon me. This is like a real thing that happened to like multiple people at my high school. Where it was the girl obviously felt bad about hooking up with somebody. And then they try to put it on the guy, saying that he forced it, that he didn't ask for permission, even though that they took off their clothes without asking, and without threats, and without any physical harm. And they felt bad about a hookup, which sometimes it happens. I feel bad about some of the people I've hooked up with. I'm not particularly proud. I'm not going around saying that they forced it on me. Everybody feels bad about a hookup. Everybody has one hookup where you'll, ooh, could have done better. Could have lived without that one. But you don't go back and make these claims that, you know, you're sexually manipulated. This is a big one, right? He sexually manipulated me. What the fuck does that even fucking mean? What does that mean? You were sexually What? What? What, did he tell you that he was a good kisser? What the fuck are you talking about? But this was a real thing in my high school. So I think a lot of boys from my generation and I don't know if this is happening in other generations. I'm talking about my generation. In my generation, a lot of women made a lot of different claims about being forced, about feeling forced, about being manipulated, when they really just felt bad about doing the things that they did with a particular guy. And this happened a lot. A lot. And when that happens, the general public kind of turns. It kind of turns. And I think even Tim Dillon said this today on his podcast where he goes, none of this stuff happens like a fucking nuke. There's not one thing that happens where everybody goes, this is bullshit. What's going on? What's happening? That never happens. Not once. But what does happen is it slowly gets out. The information slowly gets out where people are like, hey, what the fuck is this? Hey, what the fuck is this? And so, yeah, I think this is the overcorrection. And I think the overcorrection is always wrong. This is wrong. Letting Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby go is not good for our society. But you have to understand why that is happening. And I think the reason why that's happening is because the Me Too movement went way too fucking far with people like Louis C.K. and people from the general public. And the idea of what a bad hookup is and was kind of got changed for a little bit of time. And I think people are finally being like, hey, enough. Enough with that. I'm going to take a long, dramatic sip of my drink. Can we move on from the rapist? Let's move on from the rapist, shall we? Shall we move on? Protests. Protests. They're protesting all over campuses. It's Vietnam. It's Vietnam again. Good morning, Vietnam. It's happening again. It is happening again. People want to feel like they're in Vietnam. They do. They want to feel like it's the time of Vietnam, and what they're doing and what they're protesting is like Vietnam. People keep coming back to this idea that what's going on college campuses is like Vietnam. Now, before we dive into this and before I deeply criticize this idea of the protests going on right now for Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia is like Vietnam, let's read the most trusted source of information that has ever come out. The most trusted source of information that's ever come out on the history of the planet, CNN. I mean, has there ever been a news organization more trustworthy than CNN? Ever? I don't think so. So, we're going to read CNN. And by the way, I'm going to criticize, sort of the left idea of this, because I do think that the right kind of is a little bit more center on this topic. But I want to hear the leftist position, which is CNN. So let's read this so I can criticize them. Again, not saying I'm right just on this sort of particular idea. I think the right is a little bit less delusional about what's going on here. So let's go in. Let's read this. Let's read what CNN, what we're covering, okay? Pro-Palestinian protests continue at major U.S. universities. At several schools have called out police to remove demonstrators. About 100 people were detained Saturday as officials cleared an encampment. Guys, I'm dyslexic. Remember, I'm retarded. Cleared an encampment at Northeastern University in Boston, school officials said, adding that those with school IDs would be released. Okay, that's the first bulletin point. The second one is Cal Poly Humboldt. What? Cal Poly Humboldton. Whatever. Okay? Whatever that fucking word is. Humboldt, whatever. shut up, in Northern California will close for the rest of the semester and go to remote instruction as protesters remain inside at least 2 campus buildings, officials said. At New York's Columbia University, the epicenter of the demonstrations, the school banned a student leader who said in January Zionists don't deserve to live. He subsequently apologized. School policymakers voted Friday to investigate university's leadership handling of the protests. This is the last bulletin point. The protesters at Columbia have been demanding the school cut ties with Israel academic institutions. The Divestant from the Israel-linked entities as the death toll climbs in Israel's bombardment of Gaza. Protesters at other campuses have similar demands. Okay. So, that's the research I've done on this, and now I'm able to talk about it. That's, by the way, I'm not reading the article. Fuck that. I'm not reading I can barely read, okay? I'm fucking dyslexic. You just saw how fucking dyslexic I am. I'm not reading the whole fucking article. I read bulletin points, okay? Okay. The first thing I have to say about these bulletin points, right? The first, thing that really comes to mind, right? Pro-Palestinian protests continue at major universities. Blah, 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 blah. About 100 people were detained Saturday as officials cleared an encampment at Northeastern University in Boston. Okay, here's what I have to say. Okay? Since they're in Boston, lock them all up. Lock them up. Literally put all of them in cages. Put them all in cages, throw away the key, and I never want to see any of these people again. I don't even want them participating in our democracy. I don't want them paying taxes. I don't want them working at McDonald's. If you choose, how many states are in America? Over 50? Over 50 states. How many cities? More than enough. More than enough cities in America. More than enough universities. Okay? And you decide to come to Boston for school, and then you protest about Israel? Lock them up. Lock them up. Get rid of them. I don't want these people ever seeing the light of day again. I'm being dead serious. I'm not kidding you. If Trump came out tomorrow and he said we're doing the Holocaust, but we're only doing the Holocaust with people who decided to go to school in Boston, Massachusetts, specifically in Northeastern, and we're going to gas chamber all these bitches, I would stand up and I'd clap. And I would salute to the flag, motherfucker. Get rid of these people. What are they doing? They're coming to Boston for school? And what are they majoring in? Banking? Business banking? Political science? These fucking faggots who decide to come to school in Boston, Massachusetts to major in business banking and political science want to complain about Israel? By the way, they're in Boston, so what? They got a Boston accent? What do they sound like? It's not wicked pissa. It's Israel? Well, wait, it's not Israel because they're fucking Boston accent, the retards, so they don't pronounce their R. So would it be Israel? Wait, is that how you would say Israel in a Boston accent? You would go, Israel's not wicked pissa. Israel's not wicked pizza. If I went to a crowd of people, I'm being dead serious about this. If I went to a crowd of human beings, all gathered, and they're all chanting, Israel's not wicked pizza. Israel's not wicked pizza. Israel's not wicked pizza. And they just kept saying that over and over again. I go, shoot them! Shoot them! They're not even speaking English! Shoot them all! Shoot them all! Where did they go to school? In Boston? Northeastern? They didn't even go to UMass? Kill them all! Kill them all! Enough with this! What is going on here? What is happening? Is UMass and Northeastern the same college? Is that the same? That better not be the same college. Because if it is, that's very embarrassing for myself. But let's go on the idea that it's not. And I think UMass is a better school. Right? I don't know. I don't know anything about college. Who gives a fuck? The reality is, right, Look. A lot of people are going to get mad at this. A lot of people, a lot of different human beings are going to get mad at me for what I'm about to say. College is not real life. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. College is not a real life experience that reflects what goes on in the actual outside world, nor does it reflect what actually goes on inside of America. You don't have to pay bills. You don't have to fucking figure out where food is. You don't have to figure out what your day is tomorrow. You don't have to figure out what job you're working at. You don't have to contact a boss. You don't have to do any of this. None of that. You don't have to do any of that. You have a set schedule that you make, right? You get 4 months out of the year off. Hello. Some places, right, you fucking have massive food courts. Like massive food courts that you can walk to. Right? And you expect these people who have 4 months out of the year off, a food court 3 minutes away from them, walking distance, in a place that is filled by people as dumb as them. The thing is, with being a comedian in your 20s, is that you are humbled to know how much little you know. You are constantly humbled because you're going out to bars, right, where people who are 40 years old. Now, 40-year-old open micers aren't necessarily smart either. But they're a lot smarter than the kids at colleges tripping acid. Okay? And complaining about Gaza. Standing in large groups outside of Boston going, Israel's not wicked pizza. It's not wicked pizza. It's not wicked pizza. And you just go, what? So the idea that these people complain about really anything is insane. It is insane. And it's not like Vietnam. Because the whole thing with Vietnam protests, right, was like, hey, I don't want to go to a war that I have no idea what's going on. That was baked into the idea of the Vietnam protests, is that I don't know what's going on, so I don't want to go over there. That was the idea of the protests. Now you have protests of people who decided to go to college in Massachusetts. And they go, I know everything that's going on. I've solved the Middle East. I've solved the Middle East. I did it. I did the math calculation. I solved Middle East. I solved Middle East. No, you didn't. You didn't solve Middle East. You're at college. You're supposed to worry about getting your dick sucked. Doesn't anybody worry about getting their dick sucked anymore? Is there any 20-year-old out there whose main concern is getting a blowjob that day? That day, they're trying to figure out a way, trying to contact a girl or man or tranny to let them put their penis inside their mouths. Okay? That should be everybody's main goal at the age of 20. At the age of 20, if you are not constantly thinking about getting a blowjob, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You're doing the whole thing wrong. You're not doing it right. You're supposed to worry about getting your dick sucked. I don't understand where all these kids who are thinking that they understand what's going on in the Middle East and think that they have a solution to it and are so what's the word I'm looking for? They're so certain. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. That's the word I was looking for. I guess I did refer to myself in the third person. We already covered that I'm mentally ill. They're so certain, these kids, they're so certain that they figured out the Middle East, that they're willing to go in crowds of people and scream things like, "Is he not wicked pisser? It's not wicked pisser." Enough. Enough. Get him out. Get him out. Lock him up. Lock these faggots up. Maybe they'll consider what they're missing out on by not thinking about getting their dick sucked. Maybe that's what they need. But again, the whole root of the Vietnam protests was, I don't want to go over there. You're interfering with getting my dick sucked. You're interfering with getting my dick sucked. I don't want to go to Vietnam. Are people sucking dicks over there? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm trying to get my dick sucked. So, I'm protesting the war. More so, they're protesting the draft. And also, I would respect a lot more of these pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, whatever the fuck they are, protests if it was about America's actions. But it's not. It's about Israel's or Palestine's actions, or specifically Hamas's actions. Specifically the Israel government and specifically the Hamas actions. That's what they were worried about. Why do you care? Why do you care? Number one, your number one priority is trying to get pussy. That should be your number one priority, is trying to get your dick wet. Okay? Okay? And I know for a lot of them it is. I know a lot of people whose main concern is trying to get high and trying to get their dick wet, which is what you're supposed to be doing at 20. I'm supposed to be the weird one. I'm supposed to be the one, like, focusing about comedy and focusing about podcasts and maybe putting my life on the line for something that may never work out. I'm supposed to be the weird one here. And everybody else is putting their life on the line for Gaza. For fucking Gaza. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But again, specifically, if they were just criticizing the amount of U.S. money, taxpayer money, going over to these foreign countries like Ukraine and Israel, I would respect them a little bit more. If they were just outside going like, hey, college is really expensive, okay? And there's been some really weird loopholes that they've been able to pull, so people have to keep paying these high interest in government or in college debts. And I think that we should change that, or maybe take some of the money that's going to some of these foreign countries and make college cheaper. If that's what the college kids were complaining about, I'd be like, hey, they got a point. They have a point. Maybe we shouldn't send $60 billion to Ukraine. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't be sending all this foreign aid to Israel. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should let them just accept the fact that it's their conflict. Can anybody just accept that anymore, that it's their conflict and that maybe sometimes you have nothing to do with it? Can anybody do that from my generation? Please, for like 5 seconds, just try not to get involved with something that doesn't involve yourself. For like 5 seconds, that's all. That's all. Focus on getting your dick wet. Focus on that. Focus on doing cocaine and acid and Adderall and drinking and marijuana. That's what you're supposed to do in your early 20s. Not protest Israel. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. And this is going to affect. Again, Vietnam. The whole thing was like, hey, I'm trying to get my dick sucked and you're trying to send me off to war. Enough. This is, hey, I know everything and what Israel's doing is morally wrong. That's their argument. Not saying that it's right or wrong, but that is their argument. And I'm not here to argue if what Israel is doing is morally right or wrong. I'm 20. Can anyone say that anymore? Can anyone say, hey, I don't know who's morally right or wrong. I've been on the planet for 20 years. And by the way, when I was 16, I kind of had a manic episode through doing 200 milligrams of antidepressants and drinking and smoking marijuana every day. Can anybody say that anymore? Can anybody be like, hey, I don't really know what's going on and I'm kind of mentally ill and I'm kind of concerned about where the money's going, though? Nobody says that. And it bothers me. It does bother me. A little bit. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, college is the real world. It is the real world. But a lot of my smart, intelligent, because by the way, right, same friend who told me that I'm putting on some sort of act here, that this isn't really myself, which I don't really know how you cannot be yourself for an hour and 12 minutes alone in a room. But that's besides the point. Again, this same friend, we got into an argument about Egypt. He got into an argument about Egypt. And my friend looked at me and goes, I took a class in Egypt, so what the fuck do you know? This is a real thing that he said to me. And by the way, he's not going to Harvard or Stanford. He's going to like some college, right? And so like for him to be like, hey, I took this class on this one thing, so I know everything, is like, shut the fuck up. But again, a lot of these college kids have this perspective of I'm in college, I'm taking this course, I'm doing this thing, so that means I know more than you. But if I were to ever look at any of these college kids and say, hey, shut the fuck up about movies, shut the fuck up about art, shut the fuck up about comedy, because I've been pursuing comedy. I've been doing a podcast. I've watched 100 film studies on movies. So I know more than you. Even though that probably all of that is true. Right? All of that probably most likely is true. That I know a little bit more about art than the average 20-year-old just because I've been pursuing it for so long. If I said that to any college kid, they'd be like, look at this guy. Kid thinks he knows everything. Oh, you pursued comedy? Oh, so what, you know more about it than me? Yes, I do, you fucking faggot retard. But the issue is that these same college kids who will literally laugh in my face if I go, I know more than you about comedy because I've been pursuing it and it's been my lifelong dream for the past 4 years. Even though that all that is true. They'll laugh at that, but when you argue about Egypt, those same retarded faggots will look at you and go, you don't know what you're talking about because I did a course about this in college. In college. And so they're all ignorant. They're very, very ignorant. These college kids are very ignorant. Now, some of my smart friends know this. Some of my, very few though. This is a very few group of human beings that knows that college isn't necessarily real life. But very few. Like my buddy Sam. Sam's been on the podcast many times, right? He knows college isn't real. He knows that. He knows that. He thinks college is kind of easy. He's kind of like, yeah, whatever about it. He says he has a great time. But the issue is, right, and by the way, Sam, my buddy Sam, is going through like some real life shit at college. Because real life shit can happen at college. If your mom dies at college, or while you're in college, that's real life shit. Period. No matter what. If your mom dies while you're in the Kanye West mansion, that's still real life shit. Okay, so I don't want to take that away from anybody. If they're going through real life shit in college, you're going through real life shit. But it's almost like somebody who's going through real life shit while they're in college almost realizes more that college isn't real life. Because they have other things going on, right? And it's like the same thing with high school. Like high school kids. High school kids think that high school is the end-all be-all. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's like the end of the world. But then you get out and you go, hey, that was kind of all fake, right? That was kind of all fake. And the thing is with my buddy Sam is his roommate's a rapist. His roommate is somebody who rapes women. So if you have a roommate at college who rapes women and there's police in and out of your dorm because your roommate is a rapist, then yeah, you're going through some real life shit in college. But if your roommate isn't a rapist and your mom isn't dying, and again, it depends on the major, but let's say you got a major in business. You got a business major. You know. You're like, yeah, you're kind of living in the real world a little bit, but like not really. And again, everybody has a different college experience. It depends on where you're going. It depends. Like I hear becoming a doctor is actually really difficult. And I imagine it would be. So if you're becoming a doctor in college, I imagine that it's very, very difficult. But if you're majoring in arts or political science, I don't know how serious college is for you. I don't really know. It all depends, and it depends on if you're working or not. I know my buddy Andy, who's been on the podcast, is working full-time while in college. 30 hours a week while going to college. He's in real life. He's living real life. My buddy Sam has, a roommate who's a rapist. But my buddy, who thinks he knows everything about Egypt, well, I don't know. I don't know how much of the real world he's really gotten. I question it sometimes. I question how much he really knows. By the way, we're at an hour and 20 minutes and I have to pee. But unfortunately, we have 3 more topics. So I'm going to go pee. I'm going to go get another drink. And then we're going to be right back. All right, we're back. Come on, baby. I can't believe we did an hour and 20 minutes right there. That was fucking... wild. Well, that was wild. I was scared that we were even going to be able to make 45 minutes. I was like, are we going to be able to do it? Are we going to be able to do it? But I just forgot about how mentally ill I am and how much I've really been building. I've been building all of this. You know what I mean? This is all just coming out. It's all boiling out now. And I'm getting more drunk progressively, by the way. I'm getting consistently more drunk as this podcast is going on. So I feel like my points are becoming less strong. You know what I mean? Like they're becoming a little bit more sloppy. I should say. But we're going to try and wrap this up. We got 3 more topics. What's going on? What's happening right now? Why am I getting enough? You know what I mean? Distractions. The government. They're trying to take me down. You know what I mean? They know what I'm telling you is the truth. They know what I'm saying on here is right. And so they're trying to take me down. Anyways. Speaking. I'm going to try and say this without sounding like Hitler or Kanye. But, you know, there's a lot of Jews where I grew up. There's a lot of Jews. There's quite a few temples around my area where I grew up. And so I follow a lot of, Jewish kids in college because, I just followed sort of everybody in my grade. And there's a decent percentage of those kids who are Jewish and now they're off at college. So I follow quite a few of them. I need, this is a message for you guys, okay? This is a message for you guys. And again, I'm going to try and say this without having a Jewish girlfriend and without sounding like a Nazi or Kanye West. So, but every time you bring up the Jews, you just kind of sound like a Nazi, especially when you have my tone of skin. I'm 30% German, so it's like, you should shut up. But I should shut up about everything, and I don't. So here we go. Listen, okay? Listen. A lot of Jewish girls my age, okay, they like being activists. They like being girls in my age range like being activists in general. But specifically the Jews like to be an activist about, Jewish things. And right now, currently, there's a little bit of anti-Semitism in the air. A little bit. You feel it. Even as an Aryan race guy. You go, anti-Semitism. Little on the up, anti-Semitism. And so naturally, these Jewish girls my age who like to be activists like to talk about it on their social medias. Instagram stories usually is where it is. It's where it's at, okay? I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Jewish women my age talking about anti-Semitism that they're feeling or other Jews that they're affiliated with experience right now. That, to me, has no problem. That's like a black person talking about police brutality. I don't have an issue with that. I really don't. I have no issue with that. And in fact, I support it. I would like to hear it more. And I think that people should be more willing to open their minds and listen to maybe some of the things that are going on that you're not aware. That being said, stop posting stuff after that. Okay? Stop. Once you get the anti-Semitism post out for the day, let your Instagram story clear. Let it clear. And you go, what do you mean by that? Well, there's a lot of Jewish women in my age range who will post about anti-Semitism, which is fine, again. But then right afterwards, it's like a sorority picture. You know what I mean? It's like a picture in the sorority, and they're going, hashtag formal. Hashtag formal. Or maybe they're dancing. They're like, never had a bad bitch. Or what is it? It's like, never had a bad bitch like me in your life. Never had a bad bitch like me in your life. Never had a bad bitch like me in your life. And they're like dancing. They're like doing like some dance. Or they're like, never had a what? Never had a what? Never had a bad bitch like me in your life. Never had a bad bitch like me in your life. And they're dancing. They're in like a nice dress. And it's a sorority post or whatever the fuck. Or maybe they're posting about Taylor Swift. Maybe it's a Taylor Swift post. Maybe they're like, oh my God, like the new Taylor Swift song. Like, did you see it? Did you see the new Taylor Swift song? And then like the next post right after the sorority girl post or like the Taylor Swift post, it's like, Hamas is in control of all of the hostages, and Hamas needs to release all of the hostages, and you don't even know what happened on October 7th. The files haven't even been released, and you don't even understand about anti-Semitism. And it's like, okay. You can't go like that. We can't have bipolar Instagram stories. A lot of these activists have bipolar Instagram stories where it goes from we need to stop Hamas to hashtag formal. And it's like that. No, you can't do that. You're not helping anyone get your support. You're not. When you, because an Instagram story, think about it. It's sort of, it's like what's on your mind that day, right? It's like sort of, hey, this is what happened. It's up for 24 hours, and then it's gone. If you want to post, right, stop Hamas, that's fine. But yeah, give it 24 hours. Let the story clear before you post your final or formal pictures with your sorority or the new Taylor Swift album. Enough. And by the way, this is not just a problem with Jewish activists. This is a problem with every female activist out there. But right now, specifically, who's complaining, right? But no, it's not funny. No. But you need to let the story clear because no one's going to listen to you. By the way, has no one realized from this podcast that nobody gives a fuck about what your opinion is at 20? Nobody cares. And I'll say this. Can I say this? I'm more well-spoken and more thought out than like 50%. I'll give it that. I'll say 50% of the people my age I talk better than. I bring up more valid points. I don't constantly say and, like, and even though I do still do that sometimes. I try very hard to not do that. I do burp a lot, though, when I get drunk. But that's neither here nor there. You cannot go from Taylor Swift to saving the hostages from Hamas. It doesn't work. And it doesn't get anybody on your side. And it's never worked. And you kind of got to chill with it. Okay? Can we agree on that? Can we agree that maybe going from Hamas shooting people in the face to a video of you dancing to Taylor Swift is not going to help get anybody on your side? It's just not. It's not going to help. It's not going to do anything. So please stop doing that. Anyway, moving on. We're going through these fast because I want to wrap this up because I don't want this podcast to be over 2 hours. So we're moving this quick. TikTok ban. It's happening. The TikTok ban is coming, and it's happening. Now, the thing is with the TikTok ban, right? I don't give a fuck. I couldn't care less. I legitimately think that it's funny that some people care. That some people care that much about the TikTok ban. You know what I mean? Like, they banned mango jewel pods. Do you know what I mean? Mango jewel pods. The most delicious, nutritious, it's not nutritious, but delicious thing that may have ever touched a human being's tongue got pulled unjustly, may I add. And it's bullshit. They took away mango and mint pods. Fucking fags is what I call them. Okay? And now they're trying to ban Zins. So, look, okay? There are more important things to be upset about from banning. Cocaine's still banned. LSD's still banned. And you care about TikTok? Hold on. What? People still get locked up in prison for marijuana. Okay? Think about this. People still get banned for marijuana and LSD and mushrooms. People are still in jail for those three things. And you care about TikTok being banned? The people who care about TikTok being banned, when they talk, they sound insane. They sound deep. And not like, because there's two different perspectives of why TikTok shouldn't be banned. One is there's a lot of people on TikTok who gives a fuck. There's a lot of people on weed and all the other drugs that I just said. They don't give a fuck about them. There's a lot of businesses on TikTok. Again, there could be a lot of businesses selling weed and also selling mushrooms and psilocybin. They don't give a fuck about that. No care in the world about that. They care. I don't really know. Anybody who tries to argue that TikTok should be around in our society sounds retarded. True, they just sound so fucking retarded. And there's no real good benefit from TikTok being in our society. There's none. And if you argue that, you sound really fucking stupid. Now, the other argument of why TikTok shouldn't be banned, it isn't even really that TikTok shouldn't be banned. It's there are so many other problems in the United States right now at this moment, at this point in time. Why would you focus on an app? That's a good perspective. That's a good one. That's a good one that you can't I can't really argue against. Because homelessness, drug addiction, suicide, school shootings. And you can't just be like, well, TikTok's causing all these. I don't think so. These were going on a lot longer before TikTok came around. So, this idea, right, that TikTok shouldn't be our number one priority is very true. Very true, in my opinion. And then you have people going, well, wait, TikTok's also shouldn't be our number one priority because it's good. Those people are also a little retarded. And this is always what happens with these very big issues, is you have two different points, both sort of going after the same outcome, which is TikTok not getting banned. And one sounds completely fucking retarded, which tries to justify TikTok doing good in our society. And the other one is it's not that important. We should probably focus on the homeless population before we focus on TikTok. And that, again, this is where things get complicated, where my 20-year-old brain goes, I want to get my dick sucked. I actually just want to get my dick sucked, and I don't really care about TikTok that much. I don't really care. I don't really care. The thing is with TikTok, here's my thing, right? I have TikTok on my phone. The only reason I have TikTok on my phone is to watch girls that I know twerk. I know a lot of men won't admit this, but that's legitimately the only reason why I have the app, is because women, for whatever reason, of my generation, feel so comfortable showing their ass and titties and doing makeup and taking videos on TikTok. And that's why I have the app. So my main concern, I guess, when TikTok gets banned is what's going to happen to these bitches who love showing their ass on TikTok. I'm going to take a dramatic sip after that. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to these hoes who like shaking their ass? Because I like them. I like them. Where are they going? But again, this is what most 20-year-olds think about. But that no one's there to, like, really say it. Is like, TikTok's getting banned. Yeah. What about the bitches? What about the bitches? That should be every... most men, the age of 20, whenever a political subject comes up, the first thing that they should ask is, well, wait, what about the bitches? And if it's not that, it's usually not genuine. Usually. Not all the time. Like my buddy, Sam's buddy is from the Ukraine, and who's in America right now to try to escape the war zone. That is his country. And he talks about the Ukraine a little bit. I don't think that that's ungenuine. I don't think that my mutual friend, who is from the Ukraine, when he talks about the Ukraine, it's not ungenuine. And I don't think his first question when the Ukraine gets brought up is, where are the bitches? I don't think that for him. Okay? And if you're George Floyd's little brother and you care about police brutality, I don't really think when the subject of police comes up, your first question should be, well, what about the bitches? But for 90% of men my age, when they hear about the TikTok ban or any other political conflict or issue, in the public eye, I think a lot of us need to be honest and say, look, that's great, but the real concern is, what about the bitches? What about the hoes? What about me getting my dick sucked? I'm kind of sick of this idea that that's not what 20-year-olds want to do. I'm sick of it. Everybody wants to talk about mental health and what's on their mind. What you want to know what would help my mental illness the most? What would help right now? Right now. You want to know what would most help my depression right now? Is if a big booty Latina would suck me off. That would help. SSRIs right here. Big booty Latinas right here. So, look. TikTok. My real question is, what's going to happen to the hoes? And where are they going to shake their ass? Okay? That's my real question. And I think that that's a lot of men's real question. And I know the Chinese are probably spying on us. But if we can't figure out another place where the hoes and the bitches feel comfortable shaking their butt and showing their titties and doing makeup and looking beautiful, maybe we should keep TikTok. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. That's my personally, this is my opinion. And I will die on this hill. This is the hill that I will die on. With the TikTok ban, this is the hill that I will die on. Is look, good, bad, whatever. Where are the bitches going to be shaking their butts? And as Giannis Pappas' transgender character would say, and that's it. And that's it. That's it. Truly, that's it. So enough with the TikTok ban. I'm done talking about it. Election. The election is happening this year. Does anybody care? Does anybody care about the election? I feel like the election at this point, when I was 13 years old, that was my first real election where I was somewhat conscious with what was going on and kind of paid attention. It was the Trump-Hillary election was the first one. If you were born from like 2000 to 2003, the first real election for you was the Hillary and Trump. And again, as Giannis would say, that's That's And so I remember it being around for quite some time. And then, of course, I remember the Biden-Trump election, which seemed like it was around for 3 years. And it seemed like it didn't go away for a really, really, really long time. It almost seems like everybody cares about the election way more after it happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's April. It's April 2024, and I feel like nobody wants to talk about the election. Why? I don't know. I don't know why. Could it be because Israel and Palestine's going on? Could it be because Ukraine and Russia is going on? Could it be because all these protesters are going on? Could it be the TikTok ban? Could it be the Harvey Weinstein and Bill Gates? Could it be that Joe Rogan thinks the moon landing is fake? I don't know. But the reality is that feels like it's background news. And it's kind of the fate of the country. Right? Is it? Does anyone believe that anymore? That the election is the fate of the country? Although a lot of my friends are voting for JFK. RFK. What am I? Am I retarded? I just forget how retarded I am sometimes. I'm so sorry. But RFK, a lot of people are voting for RFK. If Trump wins, if Biden wins, is anything really going to change if either one of them win? I know that there's this idea that Trump's Hitler, and if Trump gets into office, all the Jews are going to be dead. But I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I believe that. And there's this idea that Joe Biden, if he wins, I don't even know. If he wins, what? The theory is that he's going to die, but like that's just a fact. So we have like a fact and a theory, and then JFK is like really the RFK. If RFK wins, that's really the only one who who feels like he could do some things. Right? He's really the only one who feels like he could maybe clean some of this up. Not like all of it, like he claims he's going. Every president claims that they're going to clean the entire corruption of the government. You would need 37 terms. If you were to abolish all of the corruption in the United States government, you would have to be a dictator. You would have to be. You'd have to be a dictator. Because it's so corrupt and so fucked up that the idea that RFK is going to clean it up in 4 to 8 years is crazy. Now, it does seem like he could make a dent and he could start the solution. And I'm hopeful because I'm 20. Because I'm 20, I want to believe that at the age of 30, I will feel comfortable enough in this country to have children. Unfortunately, at that time, or at this time, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like in 10 years, I could comfortably have children and watch them grow up in a safe place that's going to be around for a while. I wouldn't feel like that. I would feel guilty for having children in a fucked up country. Like I felt towards my parents, where I went, hey, what the fuck did you guys do? Why is it like this? Why are we in 70 foreign wars? And my dad goes, well, we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know we weren't supposed to go in Vietnam and go kill fucking 1 million people. We didn't know. What is it, Monday night? Monday night quarterbacking? Is that what it's called? I don't know. I don't know sports references. Your Monday quarterbacking, is that what it's called? Whatever. But that's always what my dad says. He always relies on that, where I go, hey, maybe we shouldn't have done South Korea. Maybe we shouldn't have done Vietnam. Maybe we shouldn't have done Syria. Maybe we shouldn't have done Afghanistan. Maybe we shouldn't have done Iraq. Maybe we shouldn't be doing the Ukraine. Maybe we shouldn't be doing, the whole Israel thing. And then he goes, well, you're Monday night quarterbacking. What do you know? You're 20. You're 20. And then you kind of sit there and you're like, right, yeah. Yeah, I'm 20, so we needed to go to Iraq. Yeah, I'm 20, so Vietnam was justified. Yeah, sure. And that's sort of what your response is. But I feel like, and my whole generation kind of has this a little bit, where they kind of feel like they were fucked over. Where they kind of feel like they were born at a time where the society that they were born in was kind of collapsing, and it was kind of due to our parents and our parents' parents for not really paying attention to anything. That's kind of what it feels like. And I think a lot of my generation feels like this. Where they kind of feel like they got fucked over. And they kind of definitely feel like they got fucked over because they had to go to school through a pandemic that wasn't even really real. If we're being 100% honest. If we're being 110% honest, if you just prescribed everybody 20 minutes in the sauna every day over a fucking vaccine mandate that doesn't even really seem that it was that effective and may or may not have some serious side effects that were kind of overlooked. But again, I'm 20, so what the fuck do I know about the vaccine? But it looks a little, as my generation would say, as the kids say nowadays, it looks a little sauce. It looks a little sauce. My generation would say this. They would go, the pandemic was a little sauce. That's what they say. Because they don't, again, every argument that we have, and again, it always comes back to, because it's true. This is the other part of the problem is like, where I go, hey, maybe we shouldn't have gone to Iraq, they'll look at you and they'll go, well, you're 20, so what the fuck do you know? And that is true. 110% that's true. 110% should I not be questioning anything because I'm dumb as fuck and I should be focusing on getting my dick wet. But when you look at it from my standpoint, where I was never alive at that time, this is the other thing. I wasn't alive at the time, so they can say that to you. They'll go, well, you weren't alive. Well, you weren't alive, so what do you know? But you go, it feels wrong that we keep entering foreign countries and spending all this money fighting these proxy wars while it could be spent at home in our borders. But then they'll hit you. They'll always hit you. Again, the government, they're trying to stop me. They'll always hit you with like, well, your generation's gay. Your generation's full of trans. You're 20. What the fuck do you know? You weren't even alive at that time. And you just go, okay, fine, whatever. If you're a regular person, you go, fine, whatever. If you're a crazy activist, you go, well, guess what? You're part of the problem. And you know how that goes. So you don't want to do that. And it's just, a little much. Little much. Where did I start this and where is it going? I don't know. The point is, this country doesn't feel like it's going in the right position, in the right direction. And it feels like my generation kind of got a little screwed over. A little bit. COVID. My generation was born at the start of 9/11. While we were kids, we watched the market crash. My mom lost her job in the 2008 market crash. And then we saw COVID. So it's kind of been a lot. It's been a lot. And we didn't really see anything else before that. And so we're kind of like, hey, this whole thing's kind of fucked. And a lot of people from my generation go a little bit further and they go, well, we need to abolish everything. I'm not in that, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think we should abolish everything. I feel okay. I feel okay right now. Right now, I feel okay. Can I say that? Right now, at this moment, I feel okay. While I'm ranting into a microphone, drinking, feel good. But some people aren't. And so I don't like the direction this country's headed in. And RFK might be able to do some damage. But the election doesn't feel like it matters right now. It doesn't. It doesn't feel like it matters. And I don't know why. So, I don't know. What were you expecting? Like a conclusive ending with like a resolution that I was going to give? Fuck off. I'm 20. Fuck you, faggot. Anyways, that's the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's episode 157. This is the return of the Kpush podcast. Look, we went over a lot today. We went over Harvey Weinstein. We went over how I don't really want to do this podcast anymore. We went over the protests of Israel. We went over Jewish girls on Instagram stories. We went over the TikTok ban, and now we've gone over the election and sort of how my generation feels and how hopeless it feels. We covered a lot. We laughed. We cried. We sucked each other off. And it was a good episode. This was a good episode. I'm going to say this. Can I say this? This was a good episode. And I hope to see you in the next one. This isn't going to be out for like 3 weeks. So, if I'm behind, fuck off. Anyways, I'm done recording. I'm really sick of it. I've been recording for like almost 2 hours. And I'm kind of drained. And I'm kind of done. I'm kind of over it. Thank you guys. If you made it to this point, send me a video of me screen record. Send me a video of you screen recording this, and I will come over to your house, send me your address, and I'll suck you off. I will. If you made it to this point, I'll suck you off. I feel like you deserve that after listening to my bullshit. Again, I won't suck anybody off because no one's making it to this point. But if you do, I'll let you come in my mouth. All right, thank you guys so much for fucking listening. Episode 157. I don't really love you, but I do because, whatever. Thank you guys. Episode 157. Goodbye.